All right. Hello, everyone. It is Monday, May 3rd, 2021. And am I happy that it's May? Certainly. What a great weekend it was over in my neck of the woods. My name is Drew Sukup. On behalf of VMUG, I'd like to welcome you to today's Veritas webcast, Automated and Self-Service Data Protection with VMware APIs, presented by Luigi Curuvilla of the Product Management Team at Veritas. Thank you for participating in today's webcast. Section on the side. And please feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation because we love to answer questions throughout. And a little shout out to Daniel, who's already found the question and answer. So I'm glad that we've already got people asking questions. Third, there will be a short online evaluation that pops up as you exit the webcast. Please take a minute and let us know what you thought of today's session and what you might like to see going forward. All attendees from today's webcast who opted in their information at registration will be entered into a raffle to win a $100 Amazon gift card. The winner will be contacted directly by Veritas, so good luck. All right, with all of that out of the way, let's get started. Luigi, I'll turn it over to you now.
Well, thank you very much, Drew. Thanks for hosting us today. As Drew introduced, my name is Luigi Curuvilla. I'm with the Veritas NetBackup Product Management Team, and I'd like to just share a little bit about why Veritas for VMware and how we can make it easy for the VMware administrator in terms of using our APIs to meet their data protection needs. So, you just let me know if the slides are moving on the screen, just making sure.
Yep, they're moving.
Okay, excellent. So what do we do, folks? We have the ability to do with Veritas NetBackup. We have the ability to have instant access to VMs. But what does instant access mean? Instant access is the ability to have VMs spun up, presented in your vSphere interfaces with directly running off of the backup storage. You don't have to go ahead and provision storage to start a VM that has been protected using our backup products. Control without complexity. We try to make it as easy as possible and providing native integration tools that allow you to go ahead and perform your data protection tasks, often without even leaving your tool of choice. Don't have to learn a backup software product at all. Protection that scales. Quite a few of you may know that we've actually done king of scale performance testing over 100,000 VMs. Consistent performance that today's enterprises need that scales to any environment. And our products have a long partnership with VMware over close to 20 years now. And basically, we've been working with VMware. Our products are designed for VMware, and they work in a very seamless way for our users to consume. We have over 195 patents the last time I counted, and we basically are still innovating and adding more value for our customers. Just to take a look at some of the in-depth that we have some deep VMware integration in the platform. So it's vSAN ready. We have VMC, which is VMware on Cloud. Our Kanzu offerings are something that you're welcome to take a look at. We have a virtual appliance form factor where you can deploy NetBackup, whether it's a virtualized NetBackup primary server or a media server that acts as a data mover. And we have flexible storage targets. There's the ability to perform information lifecycle management on the backups, and that gives customers the flexibility of deciding where and how long they want to have their data stored, whether it is on-prem, whether it is in long-term storage. there's a complete wide variety of choices that we have. There's flexibility in restore operations that we can do, whether it's, hey, I want to just recover a full VM, or maybe just a selective disk. Or even better, I want to just recover a few files. So the amount of flexibility in terms of the recover options that we offer our customers is tremendous. There's granular backups, like you can leverage change block tracking information that allows us to perform our backups super fast, along with our accelerator technology. So we just read just the change blocks that are necessary and synthesize the backup on our back end. So that way your backups get done in a much sooner period of time. But at the same time, we also have the data available. We take the incremental data and synthesize a full image. So that way, as an end user, you don't need to go ahead and perform like a full backup and then incremental backups. Our user experience is quite simple. It's a web-based UI. You could run it on a tablet, you could run it on any device. It's web-based. And it's also got role-based access control. So this gives you a real quick snapshot of NetBackup's user, like the number of jobs that are running, the capacity, the usage trend, the security tokens, the security events that are going on. You have a little nice meter that also shows how much utilization you're doing. And then certificates, which are issued to different clients in the environment that you're protecting. In terms of VMware, it's completely agentless protection. You don't have to deploy any agents out onto your VM assets. A high-level overview to see if this slide kind of gives you a little bit of a dashboard view, like what each of these items are. So you have like the jobs that require attention. There's like jobs that are queued, and then the quick status of all your virtual machines that you have. So there's items where like some that are protected using not protected flag, or other machines that they have a protection and when they were last backed up with the status, and an exclamation mark is showing that there was something wrong. So you can easily see all the protection status in the last protected. So how easy is it to protect VMware assets? Once you have Veritas NetBackup deployed in your environment, it quite literally is 2 steps. You register the vCenter in the environment, which runs a discovery job and discovers all the VMs in your environment. And then you can identify and protect the assets individually, or you can add them to something called a protection plan, which then schedules the protection out on a cadence. So covering all this, this is basically more just an overview. So, okay, so it looks like a cool interface. Why should I care? Well, I would look at some main reasons that our customers have said. They don't want to use another backup interface, and they want to be able to manage VMware using tools that are familiar to them. It should be pretty straightforward and easy, and I only need to see the systems that I care about. Well, with all of those requirements, we have different levels of tools that we can actually offer our administrators. So the NetBackup web-based user interface is always there for those who would like to perform protection from that angle. We have a vSphere web client, which you can deploy. We also have vRealize integration, which allows you to go ahead and perform blueprints from vRealize Orchestrator. We have a NetBackup API. It's just easy to use Swagger interface. I mean, you point to the master server's name or IP address, and then with documentation, you get a whole set of APIs that you can actually try out in real time. And then we also have ServiceNow integration that allows you to go ahead and initiate protection actions using ServiceNow workflows. In today's presentation, what I would like to cover is basically the vRealize integration. So let's go and take a look at that. So these are some of the blueprints that you would see in a vRealize instance. once you've imported the service catalog entities into vRealize. The user access for these can be configured at the VRA level, and backup and recovery operations, I mean, you do not have to even know that the backup is running behind the covers. So let's take a look at how we can do these. So these are leveraged using the APIs that we have, and customers can also write their own infrastructure as code to perform their data protection level objectives. We have a lot of APIs that cover all aspects of the product, but enough of the marketing speak, but let's go into a quick demonstration. And what I would like to do for the next few minutes is cover the different aspects. So we're going to go look through the plugin installation, through the configuration steps, run through a backup now, which is a way to perform a backup right away. Don't have to think about protection plans. It's one that's already configured, and all you're going to do is run through it and do a full VM backup and recovery, as well as do an agentless file recovery. So let's get right to it. So this is a series of pre-recorded videos, and I'll be narrating through them. So that way it was easier, given there were some challenges that I had with sharing a live demonstration. So let's take a look at the first one. All right, so this packages that we have for vRealize Orchestrator, they are in the standard package format. So we're going to go in and download the package on a desktop, and then basically I'm going to go and find the package and start importing it. And when you import it, it's basically going to go and expand and show a whole bunch of actions and elements in there. So actions, workflows, full configuration resources. And these are all selected. And we can go ahead and import these selected items. If you have done this in the past and you re-import the package, you need that checkbox so you can overwrite them again. So we'll give this a few seconds to go ahead and import. And while these are importing, these elements are going to be shown up on the different tabs. So let's go into a designer view and then check out some of these assets, that entities, elements that came through. So under workflows in the library, you have NetBackup. Under NetBackup, have workflows, there's VMware, and you'll see two folders, 8.2 and 8.1.2. So here you have the agentless file recovery workflows, and then some older ones, which are protect the VM and unprotect them. Under actions, here are the actions under the NetBackup library. These are some of the ones that we will be using. And go across next to the configuration. Under NetBackup, this is a resource, and then we have configuration library. Under NetBackup, we have mappings and the master servers. The mappings allow us to define a relationship between the vCenter instance and the master server. One has a template master. This template master is something that we put as a default. We will use those when it comes to creating our configuration. So this is basically it. So you've done the installation. It's not something it's as for a VMware administrator, it's pretty straightforward. Downloading the package, deploying it, and importing it. Next, we're going to go through the configuration steps. So this should be a few steps here. So let's take a look at that. So inside our configuration, remember that we had our template master, right? So here on this template master, you don't delete this one. This is one that we give you out of the box. So you duplicate this one, and we point it to the NetBackup primary server. So give it the name of a primary server in our environment. And go ahead and submit that. Next, we'll run through a configuration workflow. So let's go under workflows, under configuration to configure the master server, start a workflow. This now basically has two choices. After 8.2, we allow you to use an API key, and that's the preferred method. So we'll go ahead and choose that option. So you log into NetBackup, and this is like a one-time activity that you would do, and generate an API key. So you authenticate into NetBackup. Once you're signed in as the user, we navigate to the Security tab. And under Security, you have API keys, and we can go ahead and add an API key for our user. Give it a comment so you kind of know what this key is used for. Click. Now copy the API key value from there. Now we'll go back into our NetBackup, our VMware VRA, but use the username and the API key. At the bottom in the API endpoint URL, you'd update that just to reflect the name of the backup server. So update the URL to point to the actual name of the server. And once we do this configuration, we'll go ahead and overwrite any settings. If you had done this in the past, it'll basically update the configuration. Resize this window. It actually runs through. See the little green play button over here. Once it's done, it basically goes to a green checkbox to see that there's no mapping configurations found. So we haven't mapped any vCenter, vSphere, and vCenter environments in here. So let's go ahead and do that. Under mappings, we'll go ahead and also create a mapping for our vCenter. So it's create a new folder, point to our vCenter. Click OK, and then we'll rerun the configuration again, but this time we'll go ahead and duplicate the configuration so that I can just point it back to the same one. It'll just overwrite the configuration on top of itself. So here's the vCenter server mapping, and we'll go ahead and run the configuration workflow again, which will go ahead and update the mapping with that for vCenter. Run that configuration workflow again. Go ahead and paste the API key. And yes to overwrite. And that should go ahead and then now make a mapping between the master server or the backup server as well as the vCenter server. In this manner, you can see another red line, no AWS master server mappings. You can also make a connection to AWS, but we'll do that in another vMUG offering. So now that we've done this, our mappings to the vCenter has been done, so our NetBackup backup server can now talk to the vCenter server. With that, that wraps up the configuration portion. So two very, very few steps that you kind of need to do, and you're also able to use our role-based access control to go ahead and limit what you see in that backup just strictly down to the VMware workload only. So next, we're going to go and take a look at our VRA blueprint publishing. So let's go take a look at that. So here I have, I'm logging into vRealize. So in vRealize automation, we have a whole bunch of blueprints that we need to publish. So this next step is just walking us through that. So we'll go into VRO, and there's a workflow create VRA service blueprints. So let's go into that aspect. Find our VRA server, okay. Create VRA service blueprints. So now start this workflow. We'll go and connect to or choose our VRA server. And once you're done with this step, we'll go ahead and choose both VMware and AWS blueprints for now. Once this is done, we'll now go back to our VRA and we'll actually see our service blueprints so that we can then use them, consume them within our workflows or any of the custom workflows that you decide to build. So it just basically shows how flexible it is for an administrator to consume their data protection any way they want it, directly right through the VMware interfaces. So these blueprints are now getting created. And once these are done, we'll go to, there's the checkbox, it's done. Excellent. So now we'll go take a look at it. And what we'll do is we'll also go ahead and actually just run a backup right away. So this is like, hey, we just finished all the configuration, got your blueprints, let's go and run one of them and do an immediate backup for a single VM. So these are some of the blueprints. Kind of favorited them. So you have the backup VMware VM now. So let's take a look at that one to run a quick backup. So click on the little run button at the bottom. And now here we can go ahead and choose the VM. So now this goes and brings up the different vCenter environments that you have. Let's go down under data center and London. We have a VM of London 100 or Red Hat. Okay. Take this Red Hat 1 and under. Now this queries the backup server and brings up the available protection plan. So all you have to do is figure out, okay, we want a daily backup or a weekly or monthly, and that's it. So we just went and used native VMware tools to go ahead, choose a protection plan, and run a backup all within the space of a few clicks. So this gives you a visual representation of the job that is running, and we'll give it a few seconds so that job would have kicked off. After the job kicks off, it'll kind of loop itself until it goes to an end state. So I'm going to go ahead and just skip the tape a little bit to fast forward. And we have the job in an end state completed. You see the completed up top in the header. That's how easy it is, folks, to perform a backup. So you're still in your VMware native tools. You wanted to protect a VM, went ahead and found a VM that you need to protect, and it gave you the options of whether it's a daily, a weekly, a monthly backup, and ran the protection altogether. Next, let's go and see how we can schedule an actual protection plan. So like how we can schedule it so that all the VMs can be protected. We also have intelligent policies. I'm not going to cover that here, but an intelligent policy allows you to go ahead and create like a policy within that backup that allows you to take a group of VMs intelligently using SQL type queries and run protection. So now here, we're doing a full VMware VM backup. So what I'm going to do is add it to a protection plan. So let's go and grab a VM. Let's take our London 100, and I'm going to select that VM, which is now going to query the NetBackup server and give me the available protection plans. I'm going to choose one of them. Let's say the daily one, and run. This run is actually going to go and add that particular London 100 VM to a protection plan. It's not actually going to run the backup right then. that was the previous workflow, which is backup now. This is going to add the London 100 VM to a protection plan. And then the protection plan in NetBackup has a schedule that contains like when the backup is going to run. Now, over here, now that one of those backups have run, I'm going to go and demonstrate how easy it is to perform a full VM recovery. There's also another one called unprotect VM, which is what we can use to stop the protection of a VM. So if you had protected like London 100 before, we can also unprotect it. So let's see how easy it is to perform a full VM recovery. So for a full VM recovery, I'm just going to go and navigate and down my vCenter and to my data center, and let's say find the VM that I would like to recover. So I'm going to go and choose London VM over here, and then I go select it. It shows me some options as to which host, which recovery point. So I've got a couple of protection points times since I've selected it. We can overwrite the existing VM or rename it and send it to some other VM. So in this case, I'm just going to overwrite and send it on top. It's just a dummy VM that I chose. So power on options or remove network interfaces. Are you sure? Yep. And let's go and run that. So in this demonstration, I've gone ahead and let the VM restore run, and we'll give it a few seconds. It'll kind of take its time to perform the recovery. And once it's done, it'll kind of give you a visual representation of the entire flow of the backup, of the restore job. And this kind of would wrap up the recovery portion. Lastly, I would like to show you the agentless file recovery method. So in this one, we absolutely do not have any NetBackup code that needs to be downloaded or installed on the guest VMs that we're trying to recover. So in here, what I've done is basically, I've pre-selected a file that I want to recover, and I'll just go through the steps of doing that. So in this one, now we have the different workflows again. We're going to choose the VMware individual. So I'm going to use the Java version and do it directly from the workflow as a demonstration now. Here we have, let's go under workflows. Let's go to NetBackup. And we have a agentless file recovery, file restore workflow. We're going to use that one. Let's run this workflow. So when you run this workflow, we're going to have some choices. It'll allow us the opportunity to identify which files we need to recover. So let's take a look at that. So let's run the workflow, and the wizard prompts you, okay, so which virtual machine do you want to recover files from? So we have, let's go and choose one. So we can navigate the vCenter down our data centers. Now it's actually looking at the protected assets to identify one that we want to recover. So let's grab our VM, let's grab our Red Hat, and I'll just recover a simple file called Anaconda. But I want to show you how easy it is to do it. So here's all, now that we've selected the VM, so we have to figure out which recovery point, like which backup do you want to use, right? So let's take a look at that. So that it populates with the available backups and then gives us the option to choose any particular backup set. It could be a full or incremental, it doesn't matter. Now, it gives us the opportunity to select the files and folders. So we're going to give in a search term, and let's do a path or a portion of a path, and let's give a file name, say Anaconda. And when I click yes, it'll start the searching of the metadata in NetBackup's catalog. So, and here it comes back with the results. So now, there's multiple, of course, you could choose, but there's only one. So now, what do you want to do? Do you want to restore overwriting to the original directory or different? So we can set back to the original. Go and give it the credentials for that host OS. and then hit next. We can choose to append the file names or overwrite the file names. We can add a suffix to designate it. We choose a recovery host and a data store. Once that's done, the transport mode can be the same as backup, or you can choose another one. Are you sure is a yes/no question, and that is the last thing that we prompted for. This now will kick off a restore job, and here's again a visual representation of what steps take place once the job is queued, and then once it goes active. It will take a few seconds, and then once the job is done, we'll have this little green play button at the left here change to a checkbox, a green checkbox. There we go. And that's pretty much a quick summary or demonstration of how easy it is to perform an agentless file recovery. You can do multiple ones of these as well. You're always welcome to check out some other videos that I've posted on our Veritas channel online for other VMware instant recovery type workflows. But in summary, what I'd like to do is just to remind you that using our vRealize plugins, we're allowing you to embed a backup into the VMware portal and into your normal workflows. And this allows you to perform your data protection tasks directly and natively without stepping outside the VMware environment. Your backup administrator would provision that backup once and kind of give you some initial credential information or just an API key that will enable you to perform your data protection actions. I know there's quite a few folks who may have some interest in VMware Tanzu, so I've added a QR code on the side if you want to sign up for our beta program. And it allows you to review our latest offerings for Kubernetes workloads as well, integrated with NetBackup. These are for cloud-native applications that you may have running on VMware Tanzu. But this pretty much brings us to the end of the presentation, and I would like to open it up to any questions from the audience, and I'll keep an eye out on the chat for that.
Yeah, of course, and thanks so much, Luigi, for this great presentation. I loved all the demonstrations you had. To our audience, remember, Q&A section is on the left side panel. You'll see it right there. Send in your questions, and I know we got a pretty good question that came in from Ted. He asked earlier, what are some of the major changes that we should be aware of when it comes to AI data protection? And believe Alex answered that one. He said, it depends on what you consider AI. We have had intelligent policies for some time that can automatically pick up new VMs without any manual intervention. But to be fair, that is based on simple queries. We currently leverage AI to determine risk factors in our appliance deployments, like patching concerns or unusual behavior that could leave backups at risk. So again, to our audience, send in any questions that you may have. And yeah, Luigi, that was really great.
Yep, I'm going to take a break. Then say hello to Darshak as well as Ted Wang from Texas. So Darshak, thank you very much for joining, as well as Ted. And Reza, I apologize. There were some audio issues that caused cutoff, but I hope you were able to listen to the remainder of the presentation. I saw your comment from a while ago. Thank you for that. Dick Burgess, is this the same Veritas that was acquired by Symantec years ago? Yes, this is the same Veritas, and Symantec divested us a few years ago, and we are the same Veritas Technologies. Thank you for the question.
There we go. And Luigi, there is a bit of a delay between what we say and what they hear. It's about 15 seconds. So normally I like to give a little time just in case anything comes in.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for that.
I also wanted to let everyone know that, while we wait for some more questions to come in, we've got a very jam-packed week webcast-wise, and it's basically VMware for the rest of the week. So keep an eye out for that. Tomorrow we have a VMware webcast. It's the part of Avi Network's second series. It's the first one. It's called Working from Anywhere with Advanced Load Balancing in VMware Horizon VDI. On May 5th, which is this Wednesday, we have the first in our HCX webcast series. This webcast is called Getting Started and Achieving Workload Mobility with VMware HCX. And then on Thursday, we'll have our last webcast of the week. This is a part of our NSBU series with Banu, if you remember that. We'll be ending with this one, which is called How to Prevent Threats Inside Your DC with NSX IDS/IPS. So that's what's coming up on the radar, webcast-wise. It looks like we've hit a lull with the questions. So, Liji, are there any last things that you'd like to push out for our audience?
Yes, absolutely. So there's actually a lot of, we actually have a community online on GitHub that basically is a community of users that we're supporting with code samples or API automation samples. So feel free to welcome you all to that community. Sign up at veritas.com, or you can send an email into me at liji@veritas.com. I'd be happy to share additional information or into this VMUG as well. The VMUG Alliance, the Veritas VMware Alliance is very happy to have you folks join this webcast today. And we appreciate your feedback at all given point in time as we build better products for our VMware audience. I also Drew wanted to remind folks about our Kubernetes workload support that we have in our upcoming release. So if you have an opportunity to take a test drive, whether it's VMware Tanzu or any other Kubernetes distribution that you're using, take a look at it and sign up for the beta program. You'll be the first to know.
All right, great. Well, with that, a reminder, scan that QR code to work more with a VMware Tanzu. And other than that, we have to say thank you. Again, this contacts URL, vmware.alliance@veritas.com. This is a live link. You are able to, oh, hold on. We got not a question, just a comment from Dick saying, my wife worked for Veritas back then. Great company. Well, hey, Liji, how do you feel?
Hey, it's been a great company. I've actually been with the company for close to 20 years. It's an awesome place to work. And thank you, Dick. Say hello to your wife, and she's always welcome to boomerang back.
All right. Well, with that, I have to thank you, Liji, for taking the time to speak with us today and all the work that you put into this presentation. I thought it was really informative, and I really appreciate you joining us. This contact link, by the way, vmware.alliance@veritas.com, is live. You can click on it now if you'd like. That's to our audience. As another reminder to our audience, you will receive a follow-up email with the on-demand link from today's webcast. To find out more about the VMUG webcast program, visit vmug.com and check out the education page, or you can just visit vmug.com/webcasts. There you'll see the last 6 months worth of webcasts, and you'll get to hear my beaming voice starting each one of them. Please make sure to complete the short online evaluation that will pop up as you exit the webcast, and let us know how today's session went. And from all of us here at VMUG, thank you, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, Andrew.